I kept quiet for years. One question finally broke everything. I learned very early in life that silence could keep the peace. In my family, silence was treated like a virtue. We didn't argue loudly. We didn't confront problems head-on. If something hurt, you swallowed it. If something felt unfair, you endured it. My parents called it being mature. I learned to call it survival. The thing I stayed quiet about started when I was 17. My uncle moved in with us after his divorce. He was my father's younger brother, charming in public, funny at family gatherings, always ready with a story. Everyone loved him. He was the cool uncle. He also drank more than anyone admitted and had a temper that flared when things didn't go his way. At first, his presence was just uncomfortable. He took over the living room, criticized my mom's cooking, made comments about how sensitive people were these days. My parents shrugged it off. He's going through a hard time, they said. So we adjusted. Then the comments became more personal. He'd comment on my clothes, my body, the way I laughed. Always just enough to make me uneasy, never enough to clearly accuse him of anything. When I pulled away, he'd smirk and say I was imagining things. I started avoiding being alone in the house. One night, my parents went out to dinner. I stayed home to study. He drank. The things he said crossed a line that night. He didn't touch me, but he stood too close, blocked the hallway, whispered things I still hear years later. When my parents came home, I locked myself in my room and cried until my head hurt. The next morning, I almost told my mother. I stood in the kitchen, heart pounding, rehearsing the words in my head. But before I could speak, she complained about how stressed my uncle was, how he needed support, how family sticks together. I watched her stir her coffee and realized what would happen if I spoke. There would be denial, confusion, questions about why I didn't say something sooner, questions about what I might have misunderstood, and then, inevitably, the pressure to forgive, to forget, to keep things normal. So I stayed quiet. My uncle moved out months later. Life went on. I went to college. I built a career. I learned how to be successful, independent, composed. From the outside, I looked fine. Inside, I carried a constant tension I couldn't explain to anyone. I told myself it wasn't that bad, that nothing really happened, that I was overreacting. Silence makes it easy to rewrite your own memories. Years passed. Family gatherings continued. My uncle was there sometimes, smiling, laughing, pretending nothing had ever happened. I avoided him. People noticed, but didn't ask. Or maybe they did ask, and I brushed it off so well they learned not to push. I kept quiet for years because speaking felt like it would destroy everything, my parents' peace, the family image, the story we all told ourselves about who we were. Then my cousin turned 16. She's my uncle's daughter. At her birthday party, I watched her laugh with her friends, full of the same confidence I once had. I watched my uncle put his arm around her shoulders in a way that made my stomach drop. It could have been nothing. Maybe it was nothing. But fear doesn't care about maybes. Later that night, as people were cleaning up, my mother mentioned casually that my cousin might come stay with us for a few weeks during the summer. She said it like it was no big deal. Something in me snapped, not loudly, not dramatically, just a quiet breaking point I had been approaching for years. Before I could stop myself, I asked one question. Do you ever wonder why I don't like being around him? The room went still. My mother looked at me, confused. My father frowned slightly, like he was trying to solve a puzzle he hadn't known existed. They exchanged a glance that told me this was not a conversation they had ever had. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might throw up. I could have laughed it off. I could have changed the subject. I could have swallowed the words like I always did. Instead, I stayed where I was. My mother asked me what I meant, so I told them. Not everything at once. Not dramatically. Just the facts. The comments. The night they went out to dinner. The fear, the years of avoiding him, the reason I never felt safe saying it before. My father stood up abruptly and started pacing. My mother cried immediately, covering her mouth, shaking her head over and over like if she did it enough, the words would disappear. They asked questions, painful ones. Why didn't you tell us? Are you sure? Why now? I answered honestly. I told them I was afraid they wouldn't believe me. I told them I didn't want to break the family apart. I told them that staying quiet felt easier than watching everything fall apart. My father went very quiet. Too quiet. He didn't look at me for a long time. Then he said something I wasn't prepared for. I think I always suspected something was off. That hurt more than disbelief would have, because it meant he might have known, on some level, and chosen comfort over confrontation. Everything broke after that, not in one big explosion, but in slow, painful fractures. My parents confronted my uncle. He denied everything, of course. Said I was confused, dramatic, holding a grudge. Accused me of trying to ruin his relationship with his daughter. Some relatives believed him. Some stayed neutral. Some stopped calling altogether. Family gatherings became smaller, quieter, awkward. My parents apologized. Repeatedly. They said they wished they had protected me better. I believe they meant it. I also believe apologies don't don't erase years of silence. My cousin never came to stay with us. I eventually told her, not in detail, not to scare her, just enough to say she should trust her instincts and talk to someone if anything ever felt wrong. She listened. She hugged me. She said thank you. I still think about the years I stayed quiet. I think about how easy it was for everyone else because of my silence. How normal everything looked. How much emotional labor I carried alone so others wouldn't be uncomfortable. Asking that one question didn't fix everything. It didn't give me closure in the neat, satisfying way people like to imagine. It did something harder. It made the truth impossible to ignore. I lost some relationships. I gained a different relationship with myself. I learned that staying quiet doesn't always keep the peace, it just delays the damage. Sometimes, everything needs to break so something honest can exist in its place.